This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
And this is Simon Marks, LBC's Washington correspondent, on the line from there. Hello, Simon.
Evening, Nick.
The peace president is now going for Humanitarian of the Year. He's giving humanitarian aid to those poor crew members on the ships stuck in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, maybe. Let me get to that in just a second, because there is a bit of breaking news here this evening that we learnt within the last 30 minutes or so, that Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York City, is apparently in hospital in Florida in critical condition. His spokesman says Mayor Giuliani is a fighter who has faced every challenge in his life with unwavering strength, and he's fighting with that same level of strength as we speak. He asked that the country join us in prayer for the former mayor. It's very unclear why he is in hospital, how long he has been there. They haven't even identified the hospital where he's being treated. And again, President Trump has taken to social media to confirm that news and to write, "Our fabulous Rudy Giuliani, a true warrior and the best mayor in the history of New York City by far, has been hospitalized and is in critical condition. What a tragedy," writes the president, saying that he was treated so badly by the radical left lunatics, Democrats all, and he was right about everything. They cheated on the elections, fabricated hundreds of stories, did anything possible to destroy our nation, and now look at Rudy. So sad, says the President of the United States. He's just arriving back at the White House from Mar-a-Lago and may be talking to reporters, so we may hear more about that later. But you are absolutely right that the other news of the evening here is this sort of baffling post that has appeared on the president's social media feed, claiming that he is about to launch something that he's calling Project Freedom, which is designed to alleviate the humanitarian difficulties that are facing crews aboard some of the vessels that are stuck in the Strait of Hormuz because of the naval blockade that is being presided over by the President of the United States. If you believe what he's saying, and there are so many contradictory claims in here simultaneously, peace negotiations with the Iranians are apparently going well, even though earlier in the day he rejected their latest proposal. Because of the worsening humanitarian conditions aboard some of these vessels, he's launching Project Freedom that is going to escort some of these vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. He claims that he is doing it on behalf of the United States, Middle Eastern countries, but in particular the country of Iran, although he then goes on to warn that if the Iranians engage in any acts of interference with this project and seek to launch any kind of attacks on the US military or the ships as they are being escorted through the strait, they will have to be dealt with very forcefully, which sort of raises questions about the extent to which the Iranians have given their blessing to Project Freedom. I think it's also worth just making the point that his own government, his own Pentagon officials, have told lawmakers on Capitol Hill in closed-door classified sessions that even if peace was agreed tomorrow between the United States and Iran, it would take fully 6 months to be able to say that the Strait of Hormuz was cleared of mines that the Iranians have left. So how you engage in this somewhat hazardous operation with the threat of mines additionally creating difficulties in the strait is very unclear. Let's see where it goes in the hours ahead and whether it adds up to a row of beans.
Yes, Congress hasn't added up to a row of beans for a while now, and they are apparently fuming about the troop withdrawals from Germany.
Yes, he's got problems with Republican lawmakers up there, no question about that. Remember, the president announced the withdrawal of 5,000 troops from Germany, where there are around 35,000 troops permanently stationed. It's the second largest military presence outside the United States for the US after Japan. Over the weekend, he says he's only just getting started because he's furious with Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who made the grave error of telling the truth. But unlike King Charles III, did didn't get away with it. And so Friedrich Merz correctly observed that Iran has humiliated the United States, correctly observed that the president had no plan when he started the conflict, and correctly observed that there is no strategy evident for wrapping this conflict up. And as a result, Trump is enraged with him, also enraged with the leaders of Spain and Italy. So Trump now says he's going to withdraw more than 5,000, a lot more troops than 5,000, also take troops out of Spain and Italy. We've seen the Polish President Donald Tusk saying that this is evidence that NATO is now disintegrating at the hands of the American leader. But he has got a problem with lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The top Republicans chairing the Armed Services Committee in both the House and the Senate have said this weekend this is not on, it's concerning. They would buy it if the president would agree to divert the troops eastward and sit them along NATO's flank along the Russian border. Can't see that happening anytime soon. But they also claim they've got the constitutional authority to stop all of this from happening. So there's evidence of a bit of a muscle flex taking place up on Capitol Hill. But again, whether that adds to a row of beans or not, we'll find out.
Congresspersons acquire a spine.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
A flexible one, I suspect.
Meanwhile, the people who are, you probably know more about this than I do, but there's a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court of Ohio, and they were being quizzed about their perceived neutrality, and their interlocutor was asking them whether they would admit that Donald Trump lost the election to Joe Biden. And what happened?
Well, of course, they can't admit it. I mean, we're seeing this again and again and again, not just in that case in Ohio. There's been a case involving a judge from Texas nominated in the Southern District there, who showed up at his Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. And as the Democrats do when Republicans are in front of them, they always challenge them to say that Joe Biden was the legitimate winner of the 2020 election, and they can't do it. And in the case of both of these judges, they refused to say that Donald Trump was ineligible to seek a third term in the White House. In the case of the Texas judge, he said he would have to review the wording of the Constitution, which, of course, as you and I know, is absolutely clear in black and white that you only get to serve 2 terms. But we see this time and time again. We saw it most recently here in an exchange that took place between Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Kevin Warsh, the man who's now going to become the chair of the Fed, who, again, would not stipulate to the fact that Joe Biden lost the election. And when he was challenged by Elizabeth Warren to ask whether there was anything that Donald Trump had ever said with which he disagreed, he found himself in a position where he said the thing that Donald Trump had said that he most recently disagreed was that he, Mr. Warsh, had the manly looks of someone who had come from central casting for the position of Fed chair, and he didn't buy he didn't think the president was right about that. I mean, they just can't get ahead of their skis to say anything that might enrage the man that they're working for, even in the case of Kevin Warsh, where the position that he's being appointed to, and with the judges, is supposed to be completely independent of politics.
It's almost as though they work for Tony Soprano.
It's almost as though this was becoming a deeply authoritarian country with no constitutional checks and balances any longer operational, and with an American president, and I know we haven't got time to talk about this today, but who last week won big at the Supreme Court in a decision on the Voting Rights Act that is going to have monumental consequences for the midterm elections, supercharging the president's capacity at the end of this year to litigate those elections for months after the final vote is counted.
Well, I'm on tomorrow. If you're around tomorrow, then we can talk about it then. Excellent. All right, well, we'll meet again.